Okay, in the previous video, we talked about how to graph functions from vertex form when the a value was equal to 1. But now let's see what happens if the a value is different from 1. All right, so first of all, we know that the parent function for all quadratics is y equals x squared. And we know that we can make a parabola by graphing the vertex and going over 1 up 1 or over 2 up 4. Or in the opposite direction, you can go -1 up 1, -2 up 4. But let's see what would we do if we had y equals 2x squared. So this is still in vertex form because I could really write it as 2 times x minus 0 squared plus 1, where here now you can see that your vertex is at 0, 0. And this 2 is what I call your y multiplier. So if we look at our standard xy table, when we just had the parent function y equals x squared, we had 1, 1, 2, 4, -1, 1, and -2, 4. But now we have this y multiplier, so we're going to take all of our y's and we're going to multiply it by this a value, which is 2. So 1 times 2 is 2, 4 times 2 is 8, 1 times 2 is 2, and 4 times 2 is 8. Now we can plot these numbers here, these x's and these two y's, to see what our function will look like. So from our vertex, we'll go over 1 up 2. We'll go over 2 up 8. We'll go -1 up 2 and -2 up 8. So you can see this gives us a thinner parabola. All right, let's take a look at another one. Now here we know our vertex is at -2, 3. So -2, 3. From here we can graph our points. Normally we would go over 1 up 1, but now because I have this y multiplier of 2, I'm going to go over 1 up 2. From this point I can go over 2. Normally I'd go up 4, but now because I have the y multiplier, I'll go up 8. So I'll be up here somewhere. I'm off my graph, but I'll put it up there just so you can see. And again, in the negative direction, I'll go -1 up 2, and then -2 up 8. All right. Here we have a different a value. Our a value now is 3, but it's going to work exactly in the same way. Instead of multiplying all our y's by 2, we will now multiply them by 3. So my vertex here is at -2, -4. So -2, -4. From this shifted vertex, normally I would go over 1 up 1, but now I will go over 1 up 3. Normally I would go over 2 up 4, but since I have a y multiplier of 3, I'll go over 2 up 12, because 3 times 4 is 12. And I would normally go -1 up 2, but now -1 up 1. Now I'll go -1 up 3, and I'll go -2 up 12. And you can see, as I get a larger and larger number, my parabola becomes narrower and narrower. Let's see what happens when our a value is a half, though, instead of a larger number. Let's go to something smaller than 1. So once again, my vertex here is 2, 3. Opposite sign when it's next to the x. Same sign over here for my k value. And now normally I'm going to go over 1 up 1. But now because I have this y multiplier, I'm going to go over 1 up a half. I would go over 2 up 4, but now go over 2 up 2. And then I can reflect this to the opposite side. So you can see now when I have an a value that's less than 1 or between 0 and 1, I'm going to have a parabola that is wider than the parent function. All right, now let's see what happens if I have an a value that is negative. So once again, my vertex is 1, 4, so we'll plot the vertex. Normally I would go over 1 up 1, but now I'm going to go over 1 down 3. Normally I would go over 2 up 4, but now I'm going to go over 2 down 12. And I can reflect these points. Let's now go the opposite direction. Let's take a look at a parabola and see if we can come up with the equation. Well, if we're going to write it in vertex form, which would probably be the easiest thing to do, let's first figure out what the vertex is. Well, I've got 1, 2, 3 in my x value, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know my vertex is 3, 5. And now I have to figure out what my a value is. Well, if I start at my vertex, I would go over 1, but now I have to go down 1. So I know that my a value is equal to 1, but it would have to be in the negative side. So I, excuse me, I know that my equation would be y equals negative 3x minus 3 squared plus 5. All right, go ahead and put the video on pause and see if you can come up with the equation of this parabola on your own. All right, let's take a look. My vertex is 1, 2, 3, so it's negative 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have negative 3, negative 8 for my vertex. If I start at the vertex, I go over 1, but I go up 1, 2, 3, 4 to my next point. So I know my a value would be a positive 4. So my equation would be y equals 4. X plus 3, because remember your vertex was a minus 3, so it's always the opposite side next to the x, minus 8.